Welcome to episode 56, Deliver Penetration Test Reports. The episode explains how to turn penetration test output into decision-ready, actionable narratives that operations, assessors, and leaders can all use to reduce real risk. Clear reports shorten the time from discovery to effective remediation because they make evidence reproducible, priorities defensible, and next steps obvious for the people who must act: engineering owners, the plan of actions and milestones (POAM), and governance reviewers. Begin every report by naming the practical objective you served: risk validation, control verification, or adversary emulation, and by stating who will receive the report package so the right inboxes and ticket systems get the artifacts without manual triage. A well-constructed delivery shows where to act, who owns the fix, and what proof will convince an auditor or authorizing official that exposure has been reduced. Start with a crisp, consistent structure that orients reviewers and reduces friction: objectives, scope, methods, coverage, constraints, and exceptions. State the objective in plain terms and tie it to the authorization or assessment milestone it supports so sponsors know why the work happened now. Define scope using inventory identifiers, host lists, and service tags, rather than ambiguous names. And attach the system of record asset list as an evidence file for auditors and owners. Describe methods at a level that proves rigor: authenticated scans, API fuzzing, or manual exploitation chains, so technical recipients see repeatability while executive readers see the breadth and depth. Note constraints and exceptions explicitly: time windows, blocked assets, or vendor-managed segments. And attach the exception forms or deviation records so the PMO and assessors can reconcile what was not tested and why. When you describe findings, present them as complete, evidence-backed units: observable condition, impact, likelihood, and affected assets. For each finding, include exact artifact pointers, evidence bundle file names, packet captures, request-response transcripts, and the signed hashes of the archive so recipients can fetch the same material and verify provenance. Quantify impact in operational terms: data categories at risk, potential service disruption, or privilege escalation sequences that matter to the business owner. Ground likelihood in observed conditions and exposure windows rather than speculative language. Link every finding to an owner by inventory tag and to a proposed POM entry identifier so triage teams and auditors have a direct path from the narrative to accountable remediation work and follow-up verification. Provide replication steps and stable identifiers that enable independent verification without your team standing over the reviewer's shoulder. Write replication steps as executable sequences: accounts or tokens to use, redacted, exact request parameters or CLI commands, expected outputs, and the environment tag where the test was performed. Attach the small version script or curl snippets as separate files, and include the scan tool name, version, and policy profile used so assessors can run the same checks. Ensure each replication artifact references the authoritative asset ID and change ticket number that authorize the test window, and store these together in the evidence folder so anyone can reproduce the observation and confirm the finding without ambiguity. Align severity consistently by mapping technical scores to business context and exposure windows so prioritization is transparent and defensible. Show the base technical score, the environmental adjustments you applied, and the final operational severity with a short rationale: why the finding is critical for this system or moderate elsewhere. Make sure the mapping table and severity rubric are attached as an artifact so reviewers understand how you converted scanner metrics into business priorities. If two findings interact to produce an attack path, show the compound effect and how that changed the priority. This makes executive decisions easier because the report exposes both method and judgment rather than leaving decision makers to infer your reasoning. Avoid common pitfalls by policing language, timestamps, and internal contradictions before delivery. Vague phrases like "likely exploitable" without evidence undermine trust. Instead, say "reproducible via steps A through B and confirmed on date X with evidence file Y." Ensure timestamps in logs, PCAP files, and change tickets all share a declared time zone and reference clock, so chronology reconciles instantly. Reconcile any apparent contradictions. If a scan shows closure but a retest shows persistence, include both artifacts and a short reconciliation note explaining why results differ. Package a short issues log describing any incomplete or pending artifacts so recipients do not assume absence equals nothing to see. Transparency prevents follow-up cycles and speeds decision-making. Add prioritized remediation guidance that engineers can act on without friction, grouped by quick wins, medium engineering effort, and architectural changes. For each remedial option, include a short implementation sketch, likely blockers, estimated effort bands, and the evidence that will prove success, configuration diffs, CI pipeline gates, or retest job identifiers. When several technical paths exist, present trade-offs and recommend a default path that balances speed and permanence. Name the change ticket template and the expected artifact that will satisfy verification when the fix is applied. This owner-ready guidance reduces back and forth and turns the report into an operational playbook rather than a to-do list. Include retest results and attach the verification artifacts that confirm fixes are effective and persistent. Where immediate retests are practical, run the same replication steps and include both the negative proof, attack no longer reproduces, and the positive proof, system responds safely under the same access pattern. Reference retest ticket numbers, tool versions, and timestamps so auditors and governance can confirm the chain from discovery to proof. If retests are scheduled rather than completed, state the planned date, the responsible verifier, and the acceptance criteria. Include the retest job template so nothing is left to interpretation during closure. Sanitize sensitive details while preserving proof and traceability, balancing privacy and verification needs. Strip or redact live personal data from request transcripts and replace secrets with placeholders, but preserve structural details, parameter names, request ordering, and exact response codes that enable replication. Keep a sealed, access-controlled version of the unredacted evidence set for authorized assessors and auditors under a documented access policy, and include the request procedure for accessing the full artifacts. Record the sanitization steps in a manifest so reviewers know what was redacted and where to request full artifacts under approved conditions. This practice maintains both privacy and the capacity for deep verification. Map every finding to the relevant control, the control parameter that failed, the exact assets affected, and the corresponding plan of actions and milestones POA and M entry or remediation ticket. Provide a cross-reference table that lists finding ID, control ID, POAM entry, owner, ticket number, so governance and assessors can move fluidly from compliance requirement to observed gap to remediation. Attach the control narrative or parameter excerpt so reviewers do not need to flip between standards during triage. This mapping collapses administrative friction and makes the report a direct input into compliance workflows rather than an external artifact to be reinterpreted. Prepare an executive summary that highlights themes, trends, and top risks in plain language suitable for decision makers, and include one-page artifacts summarizing exposure, trend momentum, and resource asks. The executive summary should name the top 3 themes, quantify exposure in business terms, and call out blocking dependencies that will slow remediation. Include an annex that lists required approvals or cross-team coordination items and identify the minimal resources needed to accelerate the top priority fixes. Deliver the executive page to leadership and the detailed package to engineering and the POA&M steward so each audience receives the level of detail they need in the format they use. Deliver the package securely and version it with stable file names, signed hashes, and clear access instructions for each recipient group. Create a root manifest that lists files, checksums, and intended recipients, engineering, assessors, PMO, and the authorizing official, and store the package in an access-controlled repository with audit logging. Encrypt archives and transmit decryption keys through a separate, secured channel, and include the verification steps the recipient should follow. Provide a short intake checklist for recipients indicating what to validate first, manifest integrity, replication scripts, and critical tickets mapping, so their initial review is efficient and consistent. Keep a simple memory cue for report quality that your team can use under time pressure: clear, complete, consistent, corroborated, and prioritized. Clear language avoids ambiguity. Complete evidence preserves chain of custody. Consistent identifiers tie artifacts together. Corroborated replication proves findings. And prioritized remediation focuses scarce effort. Attach a one-line quality stamp to the package signed by the report lead that confirms these 5 checks passed and lists any known exceptions. That single artifact speeds acceptance and signals you treated delivery as an accountable operation rather than a draft. In conclusion, deliver reports that convert penetration activities into operational momentum by packaging objectives, reproducible evidence, consistent severity mapping, owner-ready remediation, and secure archives. The final step after package delivery is practical. Schedule a stakeholder readout with engineering owners, the POAM steward, and governance so the team walks through the top vectors, shows replication artifacts, and assigns immediate actions with dates. That readout converts insight into tasks, closes the feedback loop, and begins the proof of fix cycle that reduces exposure and restores assurance. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.